Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Good morning and welcome to a Thursday edition of the program. It's Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Glad you're along for the ride today. We got a good show. We're going to kick it off here in just a second with our college football analyst, Brent Beaird, on the Titan MR Hotline. Second portion of today's show, we'll be joined by FloridaGators.com senior writer Scott Carter. He's going to give us a rundown of all the Gators that are on the Olympic teams for swimming and track. And I know we still have some track stuff, but we're going to get that all settled with Scott Carter. But first, let's head on over to the Titan MR Hotline. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, doing well. Good to be with you. Probably not as good as the Vanderbilt baseball team might be this morning after what was an incredible come-from-behind win last night. Getting behind what, Shane? 4-0. Battling back, and we saw a similar game from Mississippi State a couple nights ago.
We did, and if you missed it, just to recap, Vanderbilt was down to their last strike. They were down, 5-4, I believe. It was 5-4, bottom of the ninth, 2 outs. Kid had a 1-2 count, battles back for a walk. Then they get a base hit. They go first and third, and another. Well, no. Let me back up. I watched it. It was a ball hit. Let me back up. It was a man on first, 2 outs. Correct me if I'm wrong, Brent. A ball was hit in the 5-6 hole between the third baseman and the shortstop. Got backhanded, made a errant throw. So we go first and third. Then the next guy gets a base hit, ties it up, and then that wild pitch to win the game was crazy.
It really was. Yeah, but you can almost expect anything to go on in the World Series. Tim Corbin, the Vanderbilt coach, just really lit into his team about the midway point of the game. The way they were playing, I think that woke them up a little bit. And the amazing thing, too, is Vanderbilt winning that game. They were without their top 2 pitchers, the Rocker kid and the Leiter kid, so they had to do the best they could. That made a difference. Now they'll have, I think, a little bit of break. Now they may have Rocker may be able to come back and pitch. I haven't heard that yet, frankly. So, but again, Tennessee eliminated. I understand that they want to give their coach a big raise. Even though he was thrown out of the game in their last game, they were 0-2 in a barbecue. But Mississippi State and Vanderbilt still alive and playing well.
Yeah, and Mississippi State is playing extremely well, and so Vanderbilt's going to have to beat NC State twice to get to the championship series, and then Mississippi State will find out, I guess, after tonight's game, who they're going to have to play to move on. So I picked Vandy and Mississippi State, and I'm pulling for Mississippi State to win it all. I love their squad. I like the way they play. So we'll see. But it's been a very good college World Series, no doubt. Dan says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, Vanderbilt plays Friday and Rocker is available. So here's the thing. Vanderbilt, it sets up good for them now, because if they do beat NC State with Rocker, Leiter will be ready to go the next game. So now they won't have those guys if they make it to the championship game.
True.
But they'll take that for sure. John has a Facebook Live question brought to you by Metal Law. QB, I'd like to ask Brent the question I asked yesterday. Only 19 states have passed the NIL. Do you think there will be a lot of transfers because of a state that hasn't passed the NIL?
I think that's possible. Now the NCAA is trying to be able to do their own provisions by, I don't know if they're going to be able to do it by July 1st. That's the date you need to keep in mind, because that's when a lot of these NIL laws go into effect with the individual states. And again, without beating the proverbial dead horse here, the NCAA should have done something about this years ago, and they really didn't, and they were delinquent on it. And because of that, that's caused them a lot of problems. Mark Emmert came out and said yesterday that they are working on some kind of an interim situation that would allow students to begin to get more than what they were doing with their scholarship, obviously. But to his question, I mean, that's very possible. That's been one of the real concerns about NIL would be, will the states and the schools have really got things planned in advance, be able to take advantage quicker than anyone else, and how will that affect recruiting, particularly after we've got the transfer portal and the new waiver situation that allows the athletes to transfer once without the penalty of having to sit out a year.
Yeah, I mentioned yesterday on my show, Brent, wouldn't it be interesting? I'm not a big fan of this NIL thing, but wouldn't it be interesting if the Power Five conferences weren't allowed to have the NIL, but all the Group of Fives could? I mean, but I seriously still don't think many kids would go play for those programs. I could be 100% wrong here, Brent, but this thing goes into effect July 1st, and I'm not educated enough about it. I read a little bit here and there and talk to other people on shows about it. I don't think these players are going to be getting what they think they're going to be getting. You know what I mean? I don't think, because I've seen some of these athletes on Twitter, hey, if you want me to promote your business or whatever, direct message me on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. I don't think Mom and Pop's pizza joint is going to call up the starting wide receiver and say, hey, man, why don't you come by here? We'll give you $1,000. You get free pizza and sign some autographs. I just don't see that happening. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, but no, I don't think you are. I think some of this has been over-exaggerated, frankly. Now, some of the things, and I saw a tweet yesterday that kind of put it in another perspective. The tweet said, there will be major endorsement deals, yes, but do not overlook the opportunities for the other 98% of the student athletes, entrepreneurship for business majors, lessons and camps for education majors, content creation for design majors, and athlete advocacy for law majors. So, and that's kind of another way to look at it also. And look, Shane, we're all in the same boat. And the boat is we really still do not know where this is going. Now, a lot of the schools have already been on this, and they are preparing for it, and they're working with their athletes with it. But I'm kind of with you on this. That it will sound like a big deal, but how it's going to be fleshed out over the next few years is still really up for grabs. And again, look, in your playing career, and you understand this, and there's a lot of folks listening to us too. I mean, even without NIL, what these guys get, you can't sneeze at it. As far as athletes get more money than people realize they do legally through their schools, and that can't be ignored either. And your point also was very interesting. If the Power Five conferences did not have NIL, would more of them go to the non-Power Five? Let's say if they had it, and to your point is maybe a few, but still they're going to the Power Five because, as we've talked many a time, they've got better facilities and they offer more than some of these non-Power Five do. And I'm not disparaging them, but Shane, as you know and I know, that's just the way that it is. And a lot of these guys are going to be swayed by that, aren't they?
Yeah, and they want to win. I mean, it's still going to be the same 10 schools out there. Like, my point is, if 5-star player X from Miami is being recruited by Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, Florida, the big boys, and Maryland wants to give him $100,000, and the other schools are only giving 50 or 60, he's going to go. In my opinion, he's not going to take that money because he ain't going to win at Maryland. He's just going to be just another guy. So I don't know. I still don't like it at all. I understand why they're doing this, but it's just going to become professional sports. And for the love of the game, playing for the decal on your helmet, and for all those people in that stadium, all the alumni, it's going to be like pro sports where you don't really give a dang because on Tuesdays you're getting your check.
Yeah. Well, there's so many unintended consequences of this that we don't know yet. I mean, look, I get why they're doing it and agree with some of it too. I don't agree with all of it because I think there are going to be some problems here that we're not looking at. But hopefully, a lot of these schools will be on top of it. And as we've said, in the long run, look, it sounds like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. It is going to be a big deal. It's revolutionary in a lot of ways. But as this thing kind of settles down, it may not have the seismic changes possibly that we think it will right now.
Yeah, we got a Facebook Live brought to you by Metalon. Sandy says, "Good morning, Gators. Not a happy Tampa Bay hockey fan today. Is this done on purpose for money reasons? There's no way we wiped them out on Monday and sucked yesterday. However, it's professional sports, Sandy. That's the way it happens. And Tampa's a very good team. There's no question. But the Islanders are professional athletes and good hockey players. And it's just that's what happens, man. That's why they play the game. It doesn't matter if you win 8-0 one game. That means nothing the next game.
No,
so
it doesn't.
Yeah, and also I've got to give a shout out to the Atlanta Hawks. I mean, Trae Young,
really
48 points, and they got a 1-0 lead over the Milwaukee Bucks. It's unbelievable what the Hawks are doing. Brent, fill us all in on what the Supreme Court deal was.
Well, the Supreme Court ruled against the NCAA in a landmark antitrust case on Monday. The NCAA had been waiting. Now, this is, I think, key here. The NCAA had been waiting for the Supreme Court to make the ruling so that they can move forward with the NIL discussion. It ends NCAA limits on education-related benefits for college athletes. Schools can now offer scholarships to complete undergrad or graduate degrees in any school and earn paid, I thought that was interesting, earn paid internships after their college eligibility is required. Now, the NCAA is also meeting this week to discuss how to move forward with this. Another thing I think to keep in mind here is there were a lot of, well, we need to see how this is going to settle down too. There was a lot of chest beating by the national columnist over the last few days of this David Goliath, the big bully. NCAA was pummeled with this. I think after we get some of that calms down, and I know there was a 9-0 vote, so I get that. And again, Mark Emmert just said that they're working on a set of interim rules to have it up and going by July the 1st. So that is the goal. Is we just kind of wait and see where this goes. So I know everybody wants to play attorney with this, but this is another situation that I tell you, the playoff, the NIL, and the Supreme Court ruling, we probably had more happen in college football over the last maybe 10 days than we've had, frankly, in a decade sometimes.
Yeah, if you got joint pain in your knees, shoulders, hip, or back that won't go away, you need to check out QC Kinetics for long-lasting relief. No surgery, drugs, or downtime. Schedule your free consultation at QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Call them today, QC Kinetics, 352-400-4550. Speaking with Brent Beaird here on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline. We'll be joined later in the program by FloridaGators.com senior writer Scott Carter. Hey, Brent, talking about the college football playoff, I was reading something. I can't remember if it's the current commissioner of the Pac-12 or the outgoing one. He was complaining still about the damn thing.
Yeah, they that was Larry Scott. Larry Scott, on his comments, did not go over real well. Now, what is interesting about the Pac-12 is their new commissioner, George Klavkoff. They are actually talking about what they can do to improve their conference compared to what they have done. And one of those things would be actually two things. I'm not saying they're going to do this, they're just talking about it. But the potential changes may be, number one, the elimination of the divisions and just have your top two teams play in your conference championship game. Now, that might happen on a lot of conferences, frankly, and even the reduction, and to get this, even the reduction in the number of conference games from 9 to 8. Some of these not everybody plays 8 like the SEC. Some play more, so that's something to keep in mind. So that they're actually looking at that, and they've also got a big TV contract in the Pac-12 that they want to deal with. Now, Shane, as far as the playoff, if people miss this, the College Football Playoff Board of Managers met on Tuesday. They basically have approved all the work that's been done so far. So they're giving it to the appropriate committees to continue to work and to figure some of these things out. Now, some things that have happened here that have been a little bit more clear that people may have missed is really caught my attention. One is playoff games would start approximately 2 weeks after the conference championship games that happened the first Saturday in December. The winner of those 4 games would advance to the quarterfinals, played on January 1 or January 2 if New Year's Day falls on a Sunday. Then the semifinals would be played approximately 10 to 14 days later. Now, if you're looking at the calendar, this is kind of what we've got now, is trying to get the, in other words, for the current situation, your semifinals would be played on New Year's Day or New Year's Eve, and then about 10 to 14 days later, you'd have your national championship game. What would be different here would be the addition in December of the basically the first round, if you want to call it that. Some people might say the first round would be the conference championship games. But now, see, what happens here is what you've also got involved, and people may have forgotten this, but with that timetable, if you're a coach, what you've got to deal with, and if you're in the playoffs, you're already dealing with it, is the early signing period is the middle of December. So you're going to have some coaches who are, again, getting ready for the playoffs and also wrapping up their recruiting class for the early signing period. So that's not going to change. But just to throw that out for the calendar, that's become a little bit more clear for the listeners to be able to be aware of that.
Yeah, no doubt. Brent, some of the future schedules of some of the big boys in college football have some great home and homes coming up here in the near future.
They really do, and that's worth looking at. And look, one of the reasons that they've got these beefed up schedules are because of the strength of schedule element for the playoffs. The other reason is obviously with these home and homes, the fans have requested it. They know these are big money games. So, for instance, you've got Georgia with future games against Oklahoma, Clemson, and Ohio State. Georgia and Oklahoma is 2023. So that's kind of around the corner. Alabama's playing Texas in 2022, which is next year. Ohio State, Notre Dame. LSU's got UCLA this year. Clemson, Oklahoma. A&M has got Miami, Notre Dame, and Arizona State. Obviously, Florida's got Miami, 24 and 25. Arizona State, and then Texas. Now, these are spread out in the future, and for the sake of brevity here, I won't go into all of them, but Shane's right. I mean, when you really look at the schedules for non-conference games, for fans, and particularly Gator fans listening right now, Shane, I think they'd be pleased because these non-conference schedules are going to be better.
Yep. Brent, we got a text on the Tight Mark text line. It's from Lawrence for you, and we've spoken about this. I've talked about it the last couple of weeks, and he wants to know your thoughts. What have you heard from coaches and other people you've talked to about, that the teams that get a bye in the first round of the proposed playoffs, they have to go. They don't get a home game.
Correct.
Do you think that will change?
That's a great question. Yes, if people haven't heard that, it sounds great. If you're in the top 4 seeds, you get a bye, but you don't get a home game because the next game you'd play would be in a bowl game. So that is a legitimate question, and I think that's something they're going to have to really look at. Would be how unfair is that to your top 4 seeds that their fan bases will not be able to have a game in their own home stadium? So there's nothing decided about that, but I'm certainly going to think that will be something that will be brought up. Shane, frankly, I'll ask you, if you're a player, would you rather play and have a home game, or would you rather have a week off and then play in a bowl game?
Well, that's a great question. I feel like if you've earned the right to get a bye, it seems like you should still have the right to play at home.
I agree.
Yeah, so I think that's something they're going to need to tweak somehow. The other thing too, Brent, and this probably has to do with TV contracts. I know there's a lot of logistics to put this into place, say for next year, but why couldn't it happen the following year? Aren't we 3 years away from this or 2 years away from this?
Well, the two dates are either going to be 2023 or they're going to be after the contracts run out, and that's like the 25, 26. Now, would that mean they'd start in 26 or 27? Look, the genie's out of the bottle. I don't think that the fan base is around the nation would be upset if this thing is delayed until 25, 26, or 27. It's like having Thanksgiving dinner on the table, and then someone's got to tell a story, and you have to wait and eat 20 minutes later. That's not going to go over real well, frankly. So the question is, can't they get this to where they can play in 2023? Well, that's what they're trying to figure out during the summer. Now, someone posed this on national radio yesterday, and I thought they made a great point. Remember here that what has not been negotiated yet is the TV contract. Now, ESPN has the first right of refusal because they've got the current contract. So now look, they're going from I'm just throwing numbers out here that they're not accurate, but you get the point. From like $500 million, or I think it's $470 million. Now they're looking at $2 billion. So my question, Shane, is if you're a university president and you can go from basically $500 million to $2 billion, and as badly as you need money right now, what's your emphasis going to be? And the other thing to remember here is that the college football, the playoff committee is going to be negotiating with ESPN. So this may be a little bit of a ploy look, I get the contract stuff, and it takes years to get some of this undone. But you've got 2 years to do this, and I think they could get it done during that time. And I really do wonder, Shane, if some of that rhetoric is more of a negotiating ploy with ESPN that might encourage them to get on the ball and want to get this done too.
Yeah, refresh your vehicle and your brand with a vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot. June's your lucky month at Wrap Spot. Mention promo code Shane and receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. A few more minutes with Brent Beaird here on the Titan More Hotline. All right, Brent, let's go around the SEC. Auburn, another kid in the transfer portal.
Yeah, and they've had their share of that, but Brian Harson's just going through roster management at this point. Freshman wide receiver Hal Presley, 6'3", 190, originally committed to Baylor, picked Auburn over Southern Cal, went through spring practice, but is not happy, so not sure where he's going. But Texas, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Ole Miss, and Colorado originally offered him. And Auburn also mentioned, too, this week, they do have a series with Miami in 29 and 30.
The Gators, pretty good week for the Gators.
They've had a really wonderful week recruiting. Shamir James, who is a 3-star 2022 linebacker, he's from Mobile, 6'3", 200. Incredible athleticism. They've got a nice problem with him trying to figure out where to play him, frankly. So I think they're excited about where that might be. Chandler Smith, a 3-star 2022 wide receiver, is another pickup, 6'3", 180. He is a track star. Ran a 10.28 in the 100-meter dash. So, Shane, that's that old axiom of he turns the light switch off and he's in bed before he gets dark.
Yep, that is true. That is true. I saw where the Gators have been having to run the Swamp Stadium steps for their loss to LSU, and yes. I'm curious. We had to do that a couple of times when I was here. We snaked the bottom section around several times at like 5 a.m. Right. I think I want to say it was after we lost to Syracuse was that in 90? But what was interesting about that? Coach Spurrier made the coaches do it as well. And if you were old and you couldn't really do it, you had to get on a stationary bike and you had to do certain things on that bike.
Wow.
Because basically his whole thing was, if you don't play well, you aren't coached well. So it's just as much on the coaches. Sure. So I'm curious if Dan Mullen and his staff have been running the stadium steps.
Well, I haven't heard that. That's a really good point. And even the guys who didn't play in the game were involved with that too. And Shane, let me say real quick, they also got a kicker. Great name here, Trey Smack. Isn't that great? From Maryland. Now look, the point needs to be made here. There was a video out yesterday about him kicking a 72-yard field goal against air, shall we say. Now, look, I think that's great. But, Shane, my thing with kickers have always been, I don't care how far you can kick it against air. Can you kick a field goal on the road in the SEC with 7 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter to put your team ahead from, say, 35 yards? That's what I want to know, don't you? I don't care how far the guy can kick it. Can he kick it on the road in a crucial spot in the fourth quarter?
It's the same thing when people look at quarterbacks. Well, he threw it 80 yards at a combine. Who gives a damn? I mean, you never throw a ball over 60 yards in a game ever. And then you might get one kicked at 50 to 55 every now and then, but I'm with you. How consistent is the kid from 30 to 35, that range? So good point. Anything going on in Athens?
I think they're looking for Nolan Smith, the defensive end. This is kind of a prove-it year for him in some ways. I mean, he's a really good specimen, and they've got really good defensive players. He's 6'3", 235, a highly recruited kid too. That he could really step up this year and play very well. Georgia's defense is going to be better than people realize because they brought in guys like Tyke Smith, the West Virginia transfer to shore up that secondary. So look for the Dogs to be good defensively, and they're going to have to be because they come out of the gate against Clemson.
Yeah, my dad's old squad, the Ole Miss Rebels, are getting ready to spend a lot of money on upgrades.
Well, this is something you and I talk about a lot, and we're on the same page here. You just got to do it. Ole Miss is going to spend like 250 to 300 million on renovations, some expansions, improvements on their locker room, if nothing else. Now, some of our help me on this. Some of our listeners are going to say, "Well, why do you spend that kind of money on things like locker rooms?" Well, the reason you do, Shane, isn't that one of the first things these kids see when they're on a recruiting tour? And they're always comparing to different ones. I read a statement by a recruit a minute ago, and he said, "I like School X. It's the best facilities I've seen so far." And look, well, we may not like it, and we don't, but in this league, you got to keep up with the Joneses, don't you, Shane?
Yeah, there's no question. And I good for Ole Miss. They already have good facilities. Don't get me wrong.
They do.
Their facilities are better than Florida's, but they won't be once Florida has this indoor football facility only. Brent, there was some sad news out of College Station about R.C. Slocum.
Yeah, I really hated to see this. He's got Hodgkin's lymphoma. Now, he's going to get chemotherapy in College Station. So certainly a lot of prayers and thoughts for Coach Slocum, who did an incredible job. Now, listen, Shane, to this record. Slocum was 123, 47 and 2, and 14 years at A&M from 89 to 202. Look, I don't care who you are. If you're a coach, that's outstanding, isn't it?
Oh, there's no question about it. Brett, before we let you go, got any nuggets?
Always got a few nuggets. Malachi Wildman, the Tennessee wide receiver, has entered the transfer portal. He left the team, but so now he's in the portal. Now they've got a freshman quarterback, Caden Salter, who is really a good player, but the problem is he just got out of a problem as far as drug-related and traffic-related charges. And about the time that was cleared and he was back on the team, the same thing happened again. So he kind of needs to get his life together, to say the least. Kenny Solomon from Tennessee has ended up, he's going to Tulsa. He is a defensive back, wide receiver. Missouri has got a transfer from Tulsa, defensive back Allie Green, who is coming in too. So I know we've got a lot more and we're short on time, but that will kind of update. And I hate we got bogged down so much on some of these other things, but we know they're important and is worth going into.
Yeah, I got a trivia question before I let you go, Brent. Who is the highest paid coach in the group of 5 this past year?
I'm going to guess Luke Fickell at Cincinnati.
Nope, it would be Dana Holgorsen at Houston. He made $3.6 million last year.
Yeah, I bet Fickell is up there now, close to him.
Yeah, he could be. And I want to say Dana was making more money at Houston than he was at West Virginia.
He very well may have been. And listen, pay attention to this name. I'll leave you with this. Billy Napier at Louisiana. He recently got a raise. He's going to be the first $2 million coach, obviously, at his school. That is a name to keep in mind. He's in his early 40s. And look, he was involved, or his name was mentioned with the Auburn job and some other jobs. This guy is really, really good. He's a program builder. I'm glad they paid him the money. Maybe they can keep him there another year or two, but it won't be long until he's in the SEC. That's Billy Napier. Keep that name in mind.
Absolutely. Well, great stuff as always, Brent. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you next week, bud.
Enjoyed it, Shane. Take care.
Yes, sir. It's Brent Beaird joining us on the Titan More Hotline. Going to take our first time out, come back. We'll be joined by the man, Scott Carter at FloridaGators.com. He's going to give us a rundown of all these Gators going to Tokyo. You're watching and listening. Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Weeby Realtor Caldwell Banker, M.M. Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okido America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Meadowbrook Golf Course, Silverback Concrete Company. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration Point's where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Regal Cinemas, Dave & Buster's, Nike, Les Macarons, French Pastries, Kilwins, and coming summer of 2021, the HBC's new restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, and Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're going to go now to the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, joined by a good friend of the program, Scott Carter from FloridaGators.com, the senior writer there. Good morning, Scott. How are you?
Hey, Shane, doing well, man. Just, kind of the middle of the summer, just waiting on the rain later today, and try to see what's going on with all these Gators, all over. They're all doing something right now this summer with the Olympics coming up and other sports.
Yeah, there's not a whole lot going on. I mean, college baseball is winding down with the College World Series, but the Gators aren't in it. All our sports are officially done. However, we've had a bunch of athletes either in Omaha, Nebraska, or out in Oregon now. Let's start with swimming. It's all over with. The teams are set. Talk about some of the Gators that'll be heading to Tokyo.
Well, the headliner, Shane, we all know is Caleb Dressel. I mean, he goes out to Omaha and, sets some records in his freestyle events. And, I mean, everything's set up for Caleb to really be the face of not only American swimming, but really international swimming. And at the Olympics with, Michael Phelps now stepped aside from retirement. Dressel was already a part of the Olympic team in 2016. So this stage is nothing new to him. And he's won gold, but now he truly is. I mean, when you talk about the Tokyo Olympics and potential stars of the games, I mean, Caleb Dressel is right there at the top of who could be the main attraction at those Olympics. And he did nothing to disappoint, fans with what he did in Omaha, setting some records. And I mean, Gator fans, obviously, Shane, are more familiar with Caleb than a lot of other fans around the world. But he's become a kind of an international star. If you think about the Gators in the last decade in the Olympics, I mean, I remember in 2012, you had Abby Wambach and Heather Mitz playing soccer. You had Ryan Lochte, a star on the swimming. You had Christian Taylor and Will Clay, guys who I'll talk about here. But so at this stage, Florida's been well represented in the Olympics. But going back to your question about swimming, Caleb Dressel's the main guy. Kieran Smith is a guy who's still at Florida. He's got one more year left. And yeah, he in the long distance sprint events, I mean, this guy set records, and now he's going to go over to Tokyo as a favorite. I mean, the Gators, this is kind of just a little cool nugget that I just found out this week. I mean, they swept every sprint event, every freestyle event in Omaha at the U.S. Olympic trials, whether it was Dressel or Kieran Smith or Bobby Fink. I mean, that's pretty impressive. So all the U.S. top hopefuls in Tokyo have Gator ties. And so that just shows you really the work of, Greg Troy, the former coach, trains these guys in Gainesville for the Olympics. And Anthony Nesty, the current coach, is obviously heavily involved with Kieran Smith and that group, Bobby Fink. So, Florida's always had great swimming, as you know, over the years, men and women. And that's just continued with this current crop.
Yep, and I saw where Anthony Nesty is now one of the assistant coaches for the Olympic team. So on the men's side, are those the only 3 former Gators or current Gators that made the Olympic roster?
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
did Lochte make it?
No, he missed out. He was trying to obviously become I think the oldest U.S. swimmer, 36 years old. But in his event, I think he finished 7th, and he had to get in the top 6. I may be a little off on my numbers there, but he did not make it. So again, when you think of American swimming in the last 3 or 4 Olympics, you think of Michael Phelps and Ryan Lochte. I mean, those are the 2 big names, and Lochte was trying to do something that had never been done. We all know at the last Olympics, he became, I guess, more well known in some ways for what happened out of the pool, while still doing well in the pool. And he's trying to, give it one last run. If you read any stories on him going into Omaha, it was kind of like he's trying to turn over a new leaf. He's a family guy now, married, a couple of kids, but he also is a great competitor who is trying to milk his, I guess, physical gifts for one more run at the Olympics. It just didn't happen. So he's not going. But Dressel and like I said, Bobby Fink and Kieran Smith, those are the big ones. And of all the swimmers here, on the women's side, Natalie Hines is a name to watch. She actually went to Florida, hasn't been in school here for 5 or 6 years. It kind of came out of nowhere in Omaha, and now she's on the Olympic team. So so whenever the swimming, especially when the men's swimming those freestyle events, if you're a Gator fan, you'll have plenty to watch and interest.
Yeah, so we had one female swimmer, I believe, make it, as you said. We had a bunch. I know Talia Bates, James and Tina Bates' daughter, was out there. It was cool to watch her compete. I've known her since she was born. So that was pretty dang cool.
Yeah, that was, and I saw Batesy out there too. So he'll have some new material for some kind of artwork.
Yeah, he'll be making some T-shirt or hat or something. You know how he is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's pretty cool. So pretty good success there for the Gator contingent. All right, so track and field, I think, started Monday, and I don't know how long it goes. It's on so late at night, I can't stay up and watch it. But we've had some of the Gator athletes that have already made the Olympic team. Who are those guys?
Yeah, Joseph, and I'm going to fumble, and he competes for Liberia, but I mean, he had a really good season for the Gators, and now he's headed to the Olympics. It's again, he's one of these guys who runs into what I'm looking for in the relays. The big name, Shane, that we're all going to keep an eye on later in the week is Grant Holloway. I mean, you think about the American team. We just talked about Caleb Dressel. I think Grant Holloway has a chance to be a star in track and field for the Americans and for really the Olympics. So it's pretty mind blowing when you think about it. These 2 guys are here on this campus in the last year and through their college careers. They've been training. They hang out together, and here they are in not even a couple months, like in a few weeks, be over in Tokyo and in their events. And Grant still has some work to do at the trials. His events are later in the week, but I mean, if he takes care of business, he's heading. Other track, Corey McGee, former distance runner here, qualified for the Olympics in one of the distance events this week. I sent out a tweet the other day. I remember when I first started this job, she was a freshman. I remember going over and writing a story on her, and I remember leaving. Man, that kid's impressive. And here it is, a few years later, Shane, and her career is really taken off. Mine's kind of right here. I'm here, but she's taking off.
She's going to the Olympics, and you're doing a morning show on the Pot Up with Matthews in the morning.
That's right, man. But congrats to Corey. So those are a couple names to watch. Again, it's all going to really stay. To me, everybody's going to be watching Grant Holloway there. Just one more note: Will Clay, the triple jumper. I mean, he made it. He's won the medal, I think silver medal, the last two Olympics. And Christian Taylor, the other former Gator who's won the gold. These two guys were former teammates at UF, and they've won the gold and silver in the triple and long jump the last two Olympics. That just shows you what kind of program Mike Holloway has. Unfortunately, Christian Taylor recently blew out his Achilles tendon, so he's not able to compete. But Will Clay has advanced, so he's going to be over there.
Yeah, I'm going to try to look and see when Grant runs. He's been on our program. He's a great kid. Yeah. Wish him a lot of luck. These trials scare me to death, because if you watch the swimming trials, the American record holder and the number one, I don't remember what event it was, Scott, she got upset, and she's not going to the Olympics. And she's been the top swimmer at that event, or that, whatever, the stroke, or however you phrase it. I saw where a little 15-year-old girl made it, so it was cool to see. So good luck to Grant Holloway whenever he runs. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A few more minutes with Scott Carter. Scott, now that all the Gator sports are over, what's Scott Carter up to, man? You just hanging at the beach, swimming every day? What are you doing, man?
Yeah, man. Can't you tell here outside, hanging at the beach? I wish, man. I'm keeping up with these Olympians, like you said, and I will disappear a little bit next month. But until then, we'll run some stuff out on these people who are going to compete in the Olympics. We didn't even talk, like Kelsey Stewart and softball, for instance, or Ashley Monroe. Gator fans remember them. They're on the American team.
That's right.
And then you got a baseball player, Mark Collis-Severi, who was a backup catcher on the 2017 national championship team. He's been in the minor league system for the Reds, and somehow he latched on to the U.S. Olympic team, and now he's their starting catcher. So he's going to go over to Tokyo. So just interesting stories like that, Shana. That's what, to me, I've never been a huge follower of the Olympics until they get going those 2 weeks. But I've always followed the Olympics during those 2 weeks. And, I still, Carl Lewis, Michael Johnson, some of those guys in my past who, what they did in those games, they still stand out to me. And, that's what the Olympics are all about to me. They're about these great moments that we all kind of share in. So, maybe some Gators over there will have those kind of moments.
Yep. Last thing for you, we're about a month away from SEC Media Days in Hoover, Alabama. Got any updates on football for us?
Those guys, man, they've been busy the last 2 or 3 weeks with these camps. Every day when I walk out, man, I see them roaming back and forth between the indoor facility and the stadium. I saw when I was leaving last night about 7:15, I saw Mullen and Grantham out there on the practice field and all these kids out there. So this is that time of year where, they have their camps and they kind of, I guess, get a chance to influence future Gator fans, right? Shane, did you go to some of those camps like that when you were a kid coming up?
I did. It's not like it was now. When I went to a lot of the Ole Miss camps, it was one of those deals where it's basically babysitting for mom and dad. Drop the kid off for 3 or 4 days. You spend the night. They come back and pick you up. They don't really do overnight camps anymore. It's all one day. The whole camp scenario has changed. But yeah, it's if you took those college coaches behind closed doors and asked them what they thought about the 2 weeks of camp, you wouldn't like what they had to say.
No, I'm guessing that's just something that, is in their contracts, part of their jobs, but probably not, you're probably not finding your next starting quarterback out there or anything.
No, they just it is part of their contract. It's but it is what it is. But they do a tremendous job. All the schools do, especially with these 1-day camps. That's the way to do it now. They're not expensive, and you get to go see the facilities. And even if you're never going to play college football, it's a great opportunity for you. All right, Scott, good stuff as always, buddy. Enjoy your time off. And we'll try to hit you back up when it gets closer to football season.
All right, Shane. Appreciate it, man. Take it easy, buddy.
All right, that's Scott Carter. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our final time out of the Thursday program. We'll come back. We'll wrap it up.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our gridiron sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, non-surgical regeneration, live pain-free. South State Bank, Celebration Point Town Center, Chris Doring Mortgage. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Big Mills Cheesesteaks, MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Chick-fil-A on Archer Road, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Chomp Carter Apparel, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
We're looking for all type of restaurant people, managers, servers, bartenders, hosts, cooks, dishwashers, bussers. If you think you're good in the restaurant business, then give us a call.
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill job fair is open now. All you have to do is go to spurriersdraft.com and fill out an application.
We're looking for the good team members, and we're looking for people with a wonderful attitude that can make Spurrier's Gridiron Grill the best we can possibly be. To apply, go to spurriersdraft.com.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios on this Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning. At Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members with all levels of experience, great culture and benefits, and opportunity for growth. $1,000 sign-on bonus for qualified positions. If you're interested, give them a call at Comfort Temp, 352-376-2366. This Day in Sports brought to you by Comfort Temp. In 1922, the charter NFL club, the Chicago Staleys, are renamed the Chicago Bears by team founder, owner, and head coach George Halas. That happened in 1922. I don't know what Chicago Staleys means, but they became the Chicago Bears, and that's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. I want to thank Brent Beaird, join us on the Titan MR Hotline, as well as FloridaGators.com senior writer Scott Carter, who does a tremendous job over there. For joining our program today. Don't forget, go to potupwithshane.com and enter your name to win a Chomp Harder hat. And this week's winner is Bubba Rosenbaum. Bubba Rosenbaum. We will get in touch with you, or you get in touch with our tremendous staff, and they will get you your signed Chomp Harder hat. Don't forget Center State Bank. That's now South State Bank, but they still put business first. They understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll have JC, and I'm trying to get a special guest tomorrow. Like I said, during these times, people are on vacation doing all kinds of stuff, but it's football's right around the corner, folks. As we mentioned, next month away from SEC Media Days. Before you know it, we'll be right there in training camp. Today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe. We'll see you tomorrow.
Trying to get the fans fired up. 2nd down and 10. Matthews rolling to his right, in trouble, can't find anyone. Now he throws it for Harrison Houston, who makes the catch. He's in the open field. Harrison to the 20. They're not going to catch him. Touchdown, Gators!